The newest locomotive on the Poconos Railroad is an electrically powered trolley modeled after a classic steeple-cab locomotive, the type once used to switch freight cars on major electric rail lines. It operates from an overhead wire and originally ran on a private backyard railroad in southern New Jersey. This is the second steeple-cab unit in our collection. Its motors and gears came from Laugh in the Dark, a former ride at Riverview Beach Park where small cars traveled through a twisting, eerie tunnel powered by overhead contact wires and equipped with gear mechanisms similar to real trolley equipment. When the park closed, the original owner salvaged the gears and axles from two ride cars with hopes of one day building a trolley. They remained stored in his barn for 23 years before he finally began the project. Using a small lathe and milling vise, he mounted the motor and gears into a truck frame taken from one of the old park cars. Powered by a long extension cord, the truck ran smoothly down the track with a surprisingly realistic trolley sound. Additional tests under a park car frame and later with a portable generator showed reliable operation. The double reduction gearing gave the truck slow, steady movement and plenty of power. The motor and gears were later transferred into a second truck, and soon a cab and roof were built from light steel with help from a local welder. A trolley pole, working headlights, a realistic controller, and an air compressor were all fabricated from scratch. Once standard and 15-volt current was connected to the overhead wire and grounded to the rails, the trolley ran perfectly, even on rusty track. The entire unit was hand-built to operate on his 24-inch gauge railroad in New Jersey. The trolley uses a 110-volt AC, 40-amp overhead wire system, and a 3/4 horsepower motor in each truck. The gears, adapted from amusement park equipment, produce a sound very similar to authentic trolley gearing, and the car's naturally slow speed eliminates the need for a separate speed controller. The controller box is homemade as well, with a reversing mechanism driven by a shaft that engages two AC motor reversers to change direction. When we acquired the locomotive in the spring of 2025, we began testing it on our railroad. Using a 3,500-watt gas generator, the trolley drew too much power and repeatedly tripped the breaker on our grade. On the lower grade track, we tried a 3,000-watt inverter powered by 24-volt DC batteries, but that still wasn't sufficient. What we do know is that the trolley runs and draws power reliably, but it appears we may need an inverter capable of around 6,000 watts. With luck, we'll acquire a larger inverter next year and finally be able to run trips along the line without tripping the system. In the next clips, you'll see the locomotive running on the 3,000-watt generator. The unit draws power briefly before the inverter trips, which you'll hear when it beeps. When the inverter trips, we reset it and try again. Sometimes it manages to run for a short while, but other times it stops immediately. On inclines, it struggles to gain traction and trips the inverter right away. This is why a larger inverter is necessary. In the future, we may switch to DC motors or variable drive AC motors. Stay tuned for these upgrades. Thank you for watching the Electric Railway Man channel. Please like, share, and subscribe.